2 ears, designed so that you can hear me clear. But it seemed like it's the truth we fear, cause we like the lies. People change every day, I'm not surprised. Behind every smile that you see is a disguise. Eventually one day we all gotta meet our demise. So when it's your time, can you say that you tried? Or did you give up, huh? Did you give in, huh? To all of your wants, huh? All of your sin, huh? War on me, huh? War on them, reminiscing cause you ain't making them in. Like, whoa.
Hey Daniel, how's it going?
I'm good, Vic. How are you? Victoria Pope from South Australia.
Yeah, I'm good. Thanks for asking.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I heard you on the radio this morning.
Yes.
That was good.
Yeah, it was not bad. I had a few messages from people today.
Yeah.
I shared it around because you know me, I'm not afraid of sharing when I'm doing stuff. But a few messages of support from people saying that I was quite well presented, maybe.
Yeah, well, because recently, right, that little dog was killed by an off-leash dog. So everyone's all up talking about off-leash dogs again.
Yeah. So, backstory about the story. A little Maltese, or he said on the radio today, Maltalier, so I'm guessing Cavalier Maltese cross, some random, illegally backyard bred mix.
A white fluffy.
Yeah, but it was at a park, and a Staffy cross, of course, like the highest, most populated breed in the world, killed it.
Yeah.
At the park, and then the owner just walked off and snubbed off the lady while she was holding a dead dog, apparently.
Yeah, that's awful. That's awful.
Yeah, so the radio reached out to me because I've done a fair bit of interviews on 5AA over the past few years.
Yeah.
And said if I wanted to talk, because probably about a year ago now there was some reforms that were put out for the Dog and Cat Management Act, which they drafted the new bill. There were some changes presented, but those changes, or the final changes I should say, got passed into law last night. And that's why they wanted me to come on to comment on those changes, which is pretty cool because, it's always good when people reach out to you for your professional opinion on things that have to do with the industry. And, I, as always, just said what I think, and that usually goes against what the most people, the narrative kind of says. It was good because the Deputy Premier, who is actually the Minister for Animals, whatever that portfolio is, but she's in charge of all that sort of stuff, I was given a press release, and she was quoted. There was quotes in the press release from her, and one of the quotes was that these increased punishments are going to act as a good deterrent to stop these things from happening. And I was like, that's funny. And I mentioned it on air, was that it's great that she used that language, because we need that language around. But she probably didn't even realise the good effect for us on balance side of the coin that she used that language. But every organisation that sits under her says that punishment has no place in behaviour modification.
Yeah.
RSPCA, Dog and Cat Management Board, and every council that all promote positive reinforcement training only. The Dog and Cat Management Board only promoting positive reinforcement trainers as their approved trainers to get dangerous dog orders off.
Yes, but then
it doesn't make sense.
And I would like to see some stats. I don't know if any of them are actually removing dangerous dog orders. Do you know what I mean? You meet people who their dog has a dangerous dog order and then they just live out the rest of their life like that. I don't know that they ever do get it removed.
It's hard to get off.
But do you know what I mean? If there was a trainer that was able to help those people remove those, that they would be doing that.
So I inquired about how do I become an approved trainer, probably about 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And obviously they come and they say that, you have to be force-free trainer. And I'm like, what's your definition of force? Blah, 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 blah. No pain and fear. And, they go into all that sort of stuff. Yeah. But the process to get the orders removed is that they have to do a minimum of 3 sessions with an approved trainer, and then that trainer has to write a report saying they believe that the dog is no longer dangerous. So you could imagine like one of these cuddles and kisses and love will fix everything type trainer. If the dog was in a situation where, yes, certain circumstances are going to set the dog off to make mistakes and that could be dangerous, but other times the dog is kind of just normal, and then this like person comes in for 3 sessions loading it with food and actually doesn't see the real dog or know how to put pressure on the dog to test the real dog, and they're going to put their name to it, and then that dog's still going to be dangerous because you haven't actually addressed
Well, that's
anything.
what I mean. I don't think I'd like to know if anyone is actually writing those reports to say, yeah, the dog's fine, it can be removed.
I mean, like that should be something on freedom of information, surely.
I don't know, maybe something to look up and chat
Yeah,
about
we'll look up and bring it back to our 5 million followers next episode.
No, it's really nice for like people reaching out and saying, hey, I listened to the episode. And,
Yeah. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
It's good. So yeah, that was the interview today. So yeah, I'm sure there will be.
I think it's funny that it's good that they're rewriting the act. I think that needs to be done. But then, like, who's policing it? You know what I mean?
That's
like
another problem.
Like, yeah, we already know like off-leash dogs are a problem in on-leash areas, and everyone's like, oh, this dog got killed. That's awful. But I see off-leash dogs in my community all the time, and no one's there giving out fines or.
It's coming, by the way.
Oh,
you would know when it's here. Yes, I agree with you. Also, I was thinking because like the deputy premier she went on the radio for like a minute this morning at about 10 to 9, and they asked her for that. She did nothing more than stick her chest out and say how good she did to get these laws passed and helping everyone. There it is.
It's like, yeah, we're updating the act, but.
Well, she was like, we should really stop.
Yeah.
And we'll fast forward.
All right.
Yeah, just to finish on that, the Deputy Premier said in her thing, like when she went on there, oh yeah, we consulted with the councils and how can we give them more powers to help this, because we were told that dog attacks are on the rise and the statistics show that dog attacks are on the rise. And it's good to see after this incident that happened the other day that the councils have the powers to follow up and do what they need to do, which in that isolated incident, yes, like they can do what they need to do because it's so extreme. But on the other side of that, the amount of times that I've written or called my local council about issues in the area because we're 8 hours a day out in the public space here when we're taking dogs out, and the response is always, we will send someone when we can get a chance to. And I understand that because there's only so many rangers in each council area and they got to triage the jobs that they got, right? Like when they've got more important shit to do, then go and speak to Johnny Wanker who's got his dog off leash in an on leash area.
Yeah.
By the time he gets down there 3 hours later, of course that dog's gone.
Yeah.
Right, and the person's gone.
Yeah.
And then like it got me thinking that like there's definitely more dogs than people. Surely we got more dogs than people. Do you reckon?
Like in the community?
Yeah.
I reckon no.
Do you reckon we have the same or less dogs than there are people?
Surely there's got to be more people than dogs in the community.
Okay, let's say that there's 50% the number of dogs that there is people, right?
Yeah.
Do we have half the amount of police force policing them?
No.
And the rules around it?
Well,
we got like there would be about 4,000 members of the police force, I reckon. Well, I remember that number from when I used to work nightclubs a long time ago. So that may have increased, right? But let's say 4,000 police. We don't have 2,000 council rangers.
No.
Specifically policing the rules around dogs.
It's just like if you read your local council, it will say, these areas, walking your dog, they have to be leashed, and then there will be designated off-leash areas. But I have never seen anyone police it.
No, but what I'm saying is like it's just impossible to police. the number of things that need policing compared to the number of rangers that are actually policing it whilst dealing with all the other shit that they need to deal with in the council.
Yeah.
Like, it's just impossible.
I'm just saying, like, people can just do what they want because the rules aren't applicable because there's no one around to enforce.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
So-
we've got the park around the corner where, like, literally every gate has a sign that says dogs must be on leash. And I swear to God, every time we go there, there's dogs off leash in there.
Yeah, I've seen that as well. And like you said, in the Act, they've increased potential punishments for offenders, but negative reinforcement so far isn't strong enough to keep dogs on leash.
That's right.
So people have to experience the punishment events if we're going to circle back to positive punishment versus negative reinforcement.
Well, yeah, the pressure isn't enough because people know there's no follow through to that pressure. I see that sign, and what am I going to do with that sign? Yeah, fuck it. Nothing's going to follow through from that.
No, absolutely.
Yeah, so that is not enough. And then they've got like me, who I'm like, did you see the sign? And then they're like,
I mean, that's scary enough for some
and they
people.
give you attitude and shit. And like, I've driven past before and I've like stopped and like reversed back. I'm like, it's an on-leash park. People just think I'm a crazy dude. I'm like, this is our park and we're going to police it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's funny.
I mean, someone should police it, so
I know.
the council should give you power.
Imagine this. I was also thinking today,
because if
exactly
you could write
that.
the fines,
It's
you'd
like-
make them so much money because you see those off-leash dogs all the time.
Imagine if they worked with all the dog trainers and dog walkers and they all had to do like a special like certification course to be able to work with powers of the Dog and Cat Management Board in order to police the dog world. Like, it would be a different story. I bet you
propose
most
that.
dog trainers would volunteer that position. Like, we're out there anyway.
Yeah.
Like today, we had 4 of us walking around the St. Mary's area. Like,
5.
We're out there. Oh, yeah, 5.
Yeah.
We're literally out there all the time. Who better to do that?
Yeah.
Could be like Dog Force.
Dog force.
Yeah, like America's Space Force.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I want to play a little game.
Okay.
Because, you know, we're still going... You said last week that you have fun debating the quadrants, and it is a little bit of fun. So...
I think everyone else is over it, but
I don't know.
Oh, it's true though. Every time you bring it up, everyone's got something to say. So.
Yeah, so that's right. We bring it up, give them
Maybe.
something to say.
Okay.
So I thought that instead of just talking about it with make-believe examples, we may be able to watch a video, and then I'll work out a way to be able to show the video in this video,
Okay.
so that people see what we're seeing, and then we can have a look at who's crazy and who's not. All right, so let's looky here.
Is this like, what quadrant are we in? Is that what the game is called?
Well, like, kind of, but it's not. It's just, let's operantly analyse what's going on here. Let me get to the part. All right, so let's have a look. So this is Maverick. I think I shared this video with you guys the other day. And we can watch it a couple of times. We're walking past, barking dog. Or maybe I went too far forward. Oh no, here we go. This is going to be. So we watch. No, I went too far forward. Here we go. All right. So we're working on fixing reactivity to dogs. He's a bit of a nutcase for dogs and redirects on the handler. So what's happening there?
Negative reinforcement.
You reckon?
Yeah.
So you think my adding the leash pops is negative reinforcement or
Yeah.
positive punishment?
Negative reinforcement. Because if he knows, he's figured out how to escape and avoid it. right? So if he went off and you're like, nah, the penalty for that is like 10 leash pops, and you take him away, give him 10, bring him back, then I would say you are taking him away from an unavoidable consequence for your behavior. But just a pop, and then he goes into the behavior that you're looking for, that's active, him turning off the pressure. Otherwise you keep popping, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's negative reinforcement that's the quadrant I'm going to see in this video. Can we put up a chart and Vic's in this quadrant?
Well, I don't think that. I think we're in multiple quadrants, to be honest.
Well, like you could say that second's like positive punishment, but I'm saying
because like we're reducing him looking at the dog.
Yeah, and I think another way to reduce him looking at the dog is to do like a punishment event where you do something much more aversive than that.
But the behaviour's decreased and less likely to occur.
I think you're reinforcing.
It's like we've slipped over.
I don't think so at all.
I think it's both.
No, because he's escaping and avoiding it. I think,
But how is he escaping? I'm not pressuring him into another behaviour.
No, well, he's escaping and avoiding more leash pops.
By not doing the behaviour.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he escapes and avoids the positive punishment that I'm putting on him. Because I'm putting pressure on him to stop looking at the dog.
Yes, negative reinforcement.
I put pressure on him to stop looking at the dog.
Yeah.
And then, so I would say we're positive punishment because I don't care what pressure he does right now. I'm just saying don't look at the dog. Don't look at the dog. He's finding success, like you said, he's finding success and he is being reinforced by staying straight and walking without looking at the dog. But you can see there when he then goes into avoidance of looking at the dog by himself, because he's like, oh, no, don't want to go there because I want to avoid that pressure. So negative reinforcement is on his side of the pressure. Positive punishment comes from my side of the pressure because I'm adding the pressure. I'm adding the pressure. There's still got to be an add of the pressure. He removes the pressure and I'm adding the pressure. And like you said before, we've got to speak of the behaviour in which we're talking, right, last week. So the not looking at the dog now has been punished and the walking straight head has been reinforced.
I think the neutral behaviour is being reinforced.
Yeah.
For sure.
So I just wanted to show, because I thought this was a good video that shows my understanding that it's three-dimensional and all, and that it's like the same pressure. So I understand, again, the difference between that positive punishment, like we said if we're talking about this behaviour, that's punished, and if we're talking about this behaviour, that's reinforced. But in this instance, that shows that the same pressure that was used to punish one behaviour has also reinforced another behaviour.
I see what you're saying, and the pop is like you adding something, so you're saying it's punishing.
Yes.
But
because negative reinforcement is the escape and avoidance of a pressure, but where does that pressure come from? It's got to be added to the situation.
Yeah.
It can't just...
I think there's a truck backing up outside.
Okay. It can't just come from nowhere.
Do we have to restart this? Is this stopping?
No, we've got 9 minutes.
Okay. Good.
Enough time to discuss?
Yeah. Well, yeah. So for me,
I just thought when I filmed that was like a cool video to show how closely aligned they are, because it's not like I was like, no, we're going to go into the sit. It's like, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. And then he's like, oh, yeah, that's right. I don't do that.
Yeah. For me, I would say that's negative reinforcement. But because, and I think...
Would you say that because it's constant?
I say that because the dog in that instance, if it was just after the one pop, if he had the self-control, to stay forward, you wouldn't have re-popped.
Mm-hmm.
So he's escaping and avoiding. So.
But what's the definition of
so
positive punishment?
I think another way to change that behavior, hypothetically, is he could look and you could be, not for looking, you're getting like multiple pops.
But like that's like, yeah, sure, that's giving a bigger consequence. But we also spoke the other day about this, about the duration, right?
Yes,
duration of pressure, right? So for someone who can't have the strength to give that higher level pop, right? The intensity, right? Then it would be a duration thing. So what I see is like this can be broken down on many levels. So each individual pop, if we look at each little rep of a pop, you look, hey, don't do that, right? Positive punishment right?
Yeah, sure.
But then if we look at the set where I constantly added pressure, like there's constant pressure there for every time you're looking, that there's a constant pressure to keep you from doing that. And then he says, well, fuck, that's not leading me anywhere good. I need to avoid this pressure. How do I avoid this pressure? Stay straight and ignore the dog. So I think that it's like...
Yeah, I agree. It's intertwined.
It's like Doctor Strange and intertwined.
Yeah.
Anyway, just wanted to put it out there for all you guys so that you could have a better understanding of how I see it, rather than us like debating and everyone's in their head like, well, positive punishment is something you add in order to decrease the behaviour. Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Let's see how that diagram, how do I see that in the real world? And we've got a video that we can show that.
Yes, yeah.
That could be crazy. And I might not know what I'm talking about.
No, I don't think you're crazy.
People might agree, disagree.
I don't think you're crazy. I think lots of people would say, yes, that's a positive. And, like, I don't disagree. It's a positive punisher. But, like, I think in that specific video, if we're playing a game where I just have to chuck one quadrant on the scenario...
No, but I was always about 3D quadrant, man. I play 3D chess.
Okay.
I don't play two-dimensional dog training. Because, like, the quadrants in the book is two-dimensional, but we're in a three-dimensional world, man. Things always going and changing, and it's intertwining. So it can't ever be what quadrant are we playing. We can dissect it, because, like I said, in that second where it's like, don't, right? I would say that's positive punishment. But like we can take a step back and look at a wider picture and then say, well, that's kind of also negative reinforcement, because that pressure of don't, like it bump, 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 it's like a continual pulse of pressure until the dog alters his behaviour at the same time.
It shows you how people can just have this discussion over and over.
Oh,
and
yeah.
over, 'cause it's
but
like,
it's kind of cool.
You're not fucking wrong, right?
Next time we'll have mushrooms and then we'll do it.
Okay.
And we'll be able to see, have you seen The Queen's Gambit?
No.
The TV show?
Oh.
We just watched it because me and my son started getting into chess.
Oh, yeah.
And it's about, she's definitely, I wouldn't say she's autistic. Maybe she's like ADHD. She's a little bit special. She was an orphan. And then the janitor at the orphanage like was playing chess by himself, and she's like started watching him because she had to go clean the chalk dusters. And then she could just remember all the moves. She taught herself kind of just by watching him.
Okay.
And then she started playing with him and he taught her better. But she used to lay in bed at night and take these medicines that they would give her at the orphanage, and she would see the chessboard on the roof and like all the three-dimensional pieces, and like she would just run through it. And then she became like a world champion or something like that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It's a really cool show.
I'll check it out.
Yes. So that's that. Making leads.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so making leads. The episode tonight was called Making Leads because I wanted to talk about relationship with dogs.
Sure.
And the importance of having a good relationship with dogs and how that relates back to me and Sin's dramas.
How's Sin going? How's she going this week?
She's going good.
I haven't seen her.
I haven't got her out. Well, I haven't had her at work today because the car is being serviced, so Caitlin's had the car. And apart from that, we're down to like one correction on a walk. I took her for a walk the other day and I was like, maybe I'll just try without the muzzle, because like her her coming up the line, although it still happens, it's almost like a reflexive response a little bit now.
Okay.
Like from the correction, like it's something she just does.
Yeah.
So we're going to work out, like, that will kind of go away without having to have the corrections, but we also need to consult on like what we're actually going to do about that if there's any lingering effect.
Yeah.
However, I was like, yeah, because that's been going soft in the muzzle, I'll take the muzzle off and take her for a walk. And we got up the road and she forged a little bit, so I gave her a correction. She came up the line and all I felt was like just her mouth going onto my ribs, and I was like, yeah, that's usually where the muzzle would be, but the muzzle is just like a little muzzle punch, and here she's got wide open. I was like, yeah, the game is not to get bit, so let's just like take it back a step. But that was the only correction she got. But you know what was cool, talking about relationship, is that after that correction, I was like, oh, fuck. Like, again, we could go back to that danger territory. Like, don't think that you're out of the weeds just because we've had a week of good work, right? Like, don't rush it. I then was like tense after that because like, fuck, I've now got to get a couple of blocks back to the facility and get the muzzle and we'll play it safe. So then I was walking tense after that, and she like just looked at me and I'm like, ugh, and I like,
being a pussy.
yeah, pretty much. When you got a Dutch Shepherd that's
She
a
has
serious
no
bitch.
tolerance for...
So I know, but like she looked at me and I kind of like just moved my hand, which put some tension, like just to almost block if she was going to come up. And as soon as that tension went on, then she came up. So it's like, I don't trust you. She's like, fuck you for not trusting me.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's like, but you're putting that pressure on me, man.
Yeah.
Like, she just looked sideways at me. I was like, is she coming? So with the muzzle at the minute, like we need to build our relationship to where there's trust again. And again, it's like the importance of that relationship. Just because we've had a week of good stuff, and like I'm like, yeah, sweet, man. Like, we're way better than where we were a week ago.
Yeah.
But it's probably going to take a little bit more time to get that trust, because now we've got to bank up wins and losses, yeah?
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's a slow road. But the reason that making leads was because I came down maybe 2 Sundays ago to make my son a lead because he wanted to lead Rogue around the house. He's getting into it, Raphael. So like, he likes dog training and he's like obsessed with Rogue at the moment. Mm-hmm. And I thought, I've got to take Sin to do something. So I brought her down here. It was a Sunday afternoon. And I was like, what am I going to do with her? You know, thinking like, how am I going to tie her out? How am I going to do this? How am I going to do that? And got here, and then I was like, maybe I'll just put her on a place board and let her chill while I'm like just doing my thing. Yeah. Yeah, there was no chill. All right. And then I think I had her on one of these chairs when they were over next to my desk, and I had a back tie on just to like, hey, stay here, hoping she would just chill out, because sometimes she would run and just like lay on the chair and chill out. Yeah, no, there was no chill. And then I tried to make the lead, and I was like, well, she can just come and sit next to me on the floor and just chill out while I make the lead. Now, just quickly switch that. Yeah, so I started making the lead, and I was like, oh, she could just lay next to me while I'm making the lead. I had her on a leash, and there was no chill. And this dog was just jumping up, jumping on me, jumping on Geppetto's workbench, right? And Geppetto's workbench is our leather shop, which is on a little shelf. And she was jumping all over it, getting in the way. And I was like, dude, just like chill. And it was just like, and I think I messaged you and Alice after in the group chat. And I was like, I just fucking realized like I don't have a relationship with this dog. Like, it's just again been stuck in management land for so long, and I was like, we can't even just hang out.
No.
Like, and that's because we haven't just hang out.
Yes.
Like, everything's just been, got to do something with the dog. Got to do something that's worthwhile with the dog. And in all of that, like, go, 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 go type mentality, it's just like, we haven't even just like chilled. And it just drove home the importance of not letting that shit slide. But I think, well, especially in my case with this dog anyway, because of the circumstances, it's all been like, got to get the reps in, like get the reps in to fulfill the dog. And it's like the dog is unfulfilled because it's living its life by reps. you know. So it was a big eye-opener. So I thought that was cool, making leads. Like I was making leads and come to a profound understanding. So that's what I wanted to talk about tonight, was like relationships with dogs and the importance of having a good relationship. So what do you think makes a good relationship with a dog?
I think just spending time with them means a lot more to them than you realize, for sure. Like Niku, like my dog, he loves, even if we don't actually get to do anything, he'd rather come for a ride in my car than just stay at home.
Yeah.
Like even if I don't get him out, I'm like, cool, he's in my car right now.
Oh, really? Yeah, Tira's in mine.
Yeah. No. But like half the time I take him out, I'm like, you know, you're just gonna sit in the car. I know he can't understand what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But like half the time I take him out, you know, he doesn't get to come out and do anything. And he's cool with that. Like he'd rather be in my car than like waiting for me to come home or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just think it's so important. You would see a lot more than I would, like your clients who come in here struggling with their dogs, and like they would have probably no relationship. Like I think the deeper you go into management land as well, the farther your relationship like suffers.
Yeah.
Because like probably just because lots of stress, but you just naturally isolate the dogs and then they just go crazy trying to get back into your life, I think. But yeah, it's super critical, and especially like if you're going to have a lifestyle with the dog where the dog can like live in your house and be a family member, you have to be able to trust them. Now I've got little kids, like,
Oh, yeah.
you know, trusting my dogs around my kids, and stuff like, yeah, I think it's a complex thing to talk about.
Yeah.
And think about.
It was like, even when we had that when I spoke to you about the day that I thought that, you know, what if I like putting her down is an option, and I said, like, you know, like things are just being a bit off, like, you know, go in the backyard or go open up the side gate, and she wouldn't come running out, like, and she would kind of hang up the top of the yard and just hang there, and she wasn't enthused to see me, and then I'd kind of have to walk into the yard and like get to a certain point and then like, hey, come here, and then she would finally come over, and I would almost have to like trick her, and she would think we'd be playing, and I'd be like, all right, now get in the car, right? And then it's like she would obviously be in the yard overnight, or in the morning, sorry, to toilet, because she sleeps in the crate overnight, and then she would get put in the crate to come to work, and then she'd hang out in a crate here, and then like she'd get some activity here. But again, we already know that all of that shit was just like meaningless to her. So then she's like, yeah, I don't want to go to work today.
Yeah.
Right? And then I was like, on that Sunday, I think I took some photos or whatever. It was, I was like, yeah, you're going to come to work with me, but fuck it, get in the car with me. Like, don't get in the back in the crate. So I let her in the back seat.
Yeah.
And like, after coming down here, and then I went to pick up some firewood and stuff, and I like made up extra errands I had to run just to drive around with her in the car, because she was like nuzzling into me and like sitting with her head on the thing.
Yeah.
And then after that day, literally the next day was like, open up the side gate, and then she would be like, what are we doing? I'd come grab her, like, come on, man, we're going in the car, and let her sit in the cabin with me.
Yeah.
And I reckon it was like maybe 3 days of doing that. Even if I was coming down to work and she had to come into a crate here, just the drive in the cabin instead of in the back, got to a point like 3 or 4 days in where I'd open up the thing and she'd come fucking bolting out through the side gate, running around the front yard. I would open up the back of the car, she'd be like, nah. And then I'd open up the back door and she was like, bang, like, and just like straight in there. And it's like, fuck. So you goes to show, like, yeah, it is those little things that make all the difference.
Yeah, she gets to be in the cabin with you. Like, so special.
Yeah, that's right. But it's also scary.
She could eat you while you're driving.
No. She's getting better because like she would see anyone, even someone on a motorbike. Like if she saw someone, she'd be at the windows, like even if it was a windscreen. Like, and now it's like getting to a point where she can see someone. She would I'd be like, "Hey, lay down," and then she would lay down in the back seat, curl up again.
Nice.
But yeah, she's fucking all go, that dog.
Yeah.
Like so, it's cool to see in the car, but also scary because it's like I hate you, but I can't get to you, so I got to get him. But she doesn't do that. That's all in defensive drive anyway, and she's like so strong and just like, let's fucking go.
Yeah.
So I look forward to developing all that shit a little bit more later once we are more secure in our relationship. I
miss her as well. Like, I mean, like I know I'm not her person, but we've had good times together.
Yeah. So last night she was inside, and instead of having her in like the big travel crate things that we got, I had just put her back in the wire crate, because even the other day, bringing her down here and having her in the wire crate next to Tira, she wasn't so wound up at everything, wasn't barking at everything. She was a bit more chill, whether that was the difference of crate, whether it was because she was next to Tira, who knows, like when you're in here, you just like, well, she can bark also sometimes, depends. But a lot of times she is just like, yeah, no, just chill out in the crate. So she was like learning from her. And yeah, it was like actually a pleasure to have her here, not like, oh, fucking Sin, just relax, right? Because she'll get real spinny in that crate. Like you walk past, it's me, is it me, is it me? Like, and again, you go, oh, it's not you right now.
Yeah.
But now she's getting what she needs and she can chill in that white crate. So we put her in the white crate at home. And then even Caitlin was just sitting there, like giving her good pats through the crate. And you can tell everything's soft. Caitlin's like, oh, do you think she'll sit with me if I take her out? And I was like, oh, not ready for that. But I'm pretty sure she would. No problems.
I reckon she would.
Yeah, she would. So like she's such a different dog. And now that I've been able to work with her this last week, yeah, it's been just over a week and a half. Like I can actually see that it's like, I used to see her as in like, you're that dog that tries to eat me all the time. And even if there'd be moments where she'd get excited and start coming up and nipping on my arms, it's like, yeah, that's different to the psycho time.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
That's you trying to play and engage a bit of play and like fuck around and roughhouse. But yeah, I just saw it like, this dog just wants to eat everyone, me included. So like, we need to like take every step, like she could potentially bite at any minute. Where now I can actually see the clear difference between it all and not just like tar her with the same brush of her mistake.
When she bought it at my house, that's what, like, she'd be in the crate or she'd come out and hang out on the deck with my dogs. Like, she was really good if I was doing stuff outside. If my dogs were chilling, she'd like lay down and chill as well. Or we'd play ball or we'd go for walks. And then if I wasn't watching her, she'd be in the crate. But in the evenings, I would like get her out of the crate and just sit on the floor with her and pat her, and she would fully like lie down and just enjoy the love.
Yeah.
But then like she doesn't really have a relationship with my husband, so there was like one evening that, and I always hold her collar like while I'm patting her.
Yes.
And yeah, he just walked past and she like, her eyes went big and she got up and she barked like twice at him, and I just like shoved her back in the crate and
locked down the facility. It's a bit like that.
He was scared, but she didn't redirect onto me or anything. It was all directed at him, like someone who she doesn't have a relationship with.
But also because that's in that defensive drive.
Yes, yeah.
Which
will come in handy later.
Oh yeah, like what a dog though. Like if you were like working government and you needed a dog to make sure you went home at night, like she's fucking all in sin. That would be her nickname. Yeah. All in sin. It's just about taming the beast, really.
Yes.
So what a puzzle to solve. Yeah. But like again, in terms of building the relationship, like the narrative out there that these dogs need like love and affection, and like yes, she needs love and affection as part of her program, but that's not what has improved our relationship. Improving our relationship is me putting some pretty substantial pressure on her, right? So like everything in balance, but again, we already know that the trying to treat our way to a better relationship wasn't getting us anywhere.
You see lots of trainers stuck on food, like where, you know, I know you dislike luring in all aspects. I think there are good trainers who do lure and fade their lures really well.
Like the one we saw today.
Yeah. I don't want to talk about that.
Was it?
I don't want to talk about that online. We'll keep that to ourselves.
Yes.
But
Just keep everyone on their toes.
no, but I think you see so many trainers like on social media where the dog probably just has a relationship with food. They're only following the food, and the trainer cannot get the same results without food present.
Yeah.
And that's kind of a bit of a red flag to me. Like I would be feeling like pretty helpless if I was stuck in that position. Like my dog only works for the food. Like how do I fade off the food? Like how do I climb out of this hole that I've put myself in? 'Cause yeah, and I love that. I think I almost did get stuck in that hole, but I feel like now, like I said, my dog just wants to come and hang out with me. I haven't done food training with my dogs for a while. But I think like we're better mates than ever. Like they just want to hang out and like do stuff. What are we doing? Like, and like they'll still, like Niku will still do work anyway. Be like, oh, let's track something. Oh, happy to track. Like, I don't have any food to give you at the end. He's like, oh, he doesn't care. And that's the best. Like, because he just wants to go out there and do it with me.
Would you say that's relationship-based training?
I don't know. If we have to stick a term to something, maybe that's...
What quadrant will we be in? No, but...
that's out of the quadrants, I don't know.
No, but like you see a lot of these force-free / positive-only trainers out there, you know, they claim, you know, it's relationship-based training. It's like...
Relationship with the food.
Yeah, relationship with the food. Like whenever you're using or training the dog in drive, is the dog is doing something for what they're going to get out of it.
Yeah.
Right? If you play, yeah, I get the toy. I do this, I get the toy, right? Maybe the toy comes out if I do this, right? So it's all about if I get something. Same with the food. But if you're got more of a compulsion-based system, then it is, well, mate, you kind of have to because I said so, not because I've got the food. And then that leads us to all the fun, rewarding stuff. So you build a little bit more of a working relationship for the fact that we're two beings doing shit.
I think on the pet side, dog side of things, compulsion especially comes in like teaching them how to be a civilized dog citizen. But it's absolutely critical for working dogs for sure, because you know, on a day that they have to do their job, like they have to. But once you're at a stage where maybe your dog is mature, they do understand how to be a good citizen. I don't think like once you're through all that, there would be no compulsion on
the point is to get to a point where you're not, like the dog is trained.
Yes. Yeah.
Like the dog knows.
Yes.
So
dog knows.
it wouldn't essentially be training or any one of the quadrants if the behaviour wasn't changing in the way that it should be changing.
No,
right?
you're outside of behaviour modification.
Yeah, you're just doing shit.
Yeah, you're just hanging out.
Yeah.
You're not looking.
Oh, well, like even what I'm saying is like you're saying there's a point that you'd get to where the compulsion is no longer needed.
Yes.
It's like, well, that's because, you've done behaviour.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of people out there, it's like, well, not even people out there. If you're doing stuff with the dog in terms of trying to train the dog, but the behaviour is not changing to the way that it needs to, then you're not doing anything in terms of behaviour modification.
Yeah.
You're just doing shit. You might be feeding your dog at a time that you think is going to reinforce, but if the behaviour is not changing, then you're just feeding your dog. Right? So, I think it's an interesting point. The whole point is to get to a point where the dog doesn't need to be corrected or reinforced because they just know what is what. The behaviour itself is what needs to become reinforcing to the dog because that's what now creates a better life for me.
I once did. I would like to do more of it, but it's hard to access. But I once tried out herding with Niku, and I did a private session with this lady. She was amazing. And so the first time I tried herding, Niku was like, oh, like he saw the sheep and he's like, oh, like get me in there, kind of like what he is around roos, like let me go chase him or whatever. So then we get in there and I let him off the lead, and like these sheep are huge and they've got big eyes, like huge eyes, and they're staring at him. So he goes and stands by the fence and like won't look at them. And I was like go chase the sheep. Like, isn't that what you wanted? No, not that. So anyway, so I asked the lady to do a private with her, went for this private, and I was like, oh, I'll bring my treat pouch. Like maybe I can like clicker him like to going to the sheep or whatever. So we go to come in and she's like, oh, get that food out of here. And the exact words that she said is, she's like, the work is reinforcing and he will learn to love it.
Yeah.
And I was like that just really stuck into me. And yeah, the work is reinforcing and he will learn to love it.
Yeah.
And yeah, and he made a little bit of progress that day, and Indy had a really good time, but I haven't been... I'd love to retest him on it because I think he's a totally different dog to what he was back then, but yeah, we've just been sidetracked with other things and we never did, but it was really good what she said. And I think, like I said, I can go do a track with Nico, I don't have anything on me. And he's just like, oh, we're tracking? Because, like, that's cool, we can track, like... Let's just do that together. That's really special.
And that comes back to, again, talking about relationship with dog. When you've got a relationship with the dog, even, see, like, you build relationship over time. As long as the things that you're doing to the dog lead it to good things, like pressure and force is not a bad thing, right? And like, let's use an example, when my wife may laugh at this when she hears it. My claim to fame is that when I was younger, I was taught how to swim by Dawn Fraser, right? When we lived in Queensland. So I went down to these swimming classes at Dawn Fraser, but like, as a kid, I always was very didn't want to do shit.
Okay.
So I would cry and not want to go to school. And I reckon I cried at school until year 6. I didn't want to go. Or after the holidays, I'd be like, fucking come back to school, man. I hated it, right? I just felt real bad and anxious and just school wasn't my jam. Anyway, so Dawn Fraser, and again, at this swimming class, I didn't want to do it. I would have been in year 1 or something. And so yeah, I was off crying. My parents made me do it. No, fucking get in the fucking pool.
Yep.
You're going to learn how to swim. They probably didn't swear at me, but they made me do it. I did the class, and it's not like my life is terribly bad because I was forced to do a swimming class. So it goes to show, also when trying to build character in a dog or in a subject, sometimes the pressure is needed and is very much warranted in order to get growth in that subject. And like you said, the lady said that they will learn to love it. And once they see that it's not such a scary thing, oh yeah, sweet. And it's almost for a lot of kids, even with my 2 kids, almost the first response is almost no, I don't want to. Because it's new and it's uncertainty that they got to deal with.
Anything unknown.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
the scariest movies are you don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, but it's you need to build that skill set of being able to push through that pressure. Yep. Otherwise, if you don't know how to deal with that pressure, you're not going to survive. Even some dogs that come here, you can, since I've been focusing a lot more on the pressure game that I call, can just see how everything relates to pressure. And you can see some dogs that will just almost be hit by a wave or something in the environment, and it's ugh, and just want to shut down to it. It's what the fuck, man? So sensitive to it that they've got a long way to come in their recovery from that. But that's not healthy. And that shouldn't be medicated. We need to do things that you learn how to deal with this pressure and see that on the other side of that leaf blowing across the road or whatever it is, mate, running from the leaf is not the answer. Go and step on the leaf. It's a fucking leaf.
Don't you think as well, once you get started with those dogs, that once they get those wins, you get that snowball effect where they're like, I can do this. Oh, I can't. Oh, now it happens really quickly. Not for every single dog, depending on how far. But once you get that progress, the progress starts coming.
Yeah, well,
waves,
it's a re-understanding of what pressure really is and how to deal with that.
Yeah.
And you can generally feel it through the line. Like, I think that one of the upcoming days we shall film even just what I've been playing with, which is no different to the A-frame and park benches. Everyone's seen me get dogs up and over park benches and like working with them to do that. But like, you know, I've tried with a few timid and anxious dogs recently and put a lot more pressure on them to actually do it, you know, because they want to hide under the park benches. I know, man, like the only way is over. And from those dogs having a clear misunderstanding of pressure, that pressure shuts me down, I don't want to then feeling in the leash like a complete difference after they've learnt to go through it and see that it's not a bad thing.
Yeah.
So yes, technically I forced the dog over the table, and backing out was not an option because today you're going to have growth. And if you can do that over and over and over again, then that is putting pressure on a subject to be better than they were 5 minutes ago. So therefore it's not a bad thing, right? It's good for relationship.
I think it's a good thing.
Yeah. Anything else to say? About the quadrants?
It would be nice to talk about Sid more, but maybe, what time are we on? Maybe we should talk about it next time.
No, well, what are you going to talk about with Sid?
Well,
It's generally about the relationship, and it's like, you know, there's not much has changed in her program since a week ago.
Yeah.
So we're progressing forward. And that's why we said last week we're going to talk about like what we've changed in her program. But then I said, no, let's do that next week. And we can just talk about my whole little, you know, awakening around the making of the lead. And then we could talk a little bit in general terms about relationship with dogs. Right?
yeah. No, it's been good. Good conversation, good chat, I think.
Yeah, well, everything about dogs is a good chat. Whenever that's the subject matter. I think that's all I can talk about.
Yeah.
Couldn't hold a conversation about other stuff.
It's too bad. Do you ever go out with other people and then, like...
Everyone wants to talk to me about dogs. I'm like going out for dinner, finally I get a break from dogs, and people are like, oh, I've got a dog and it does this. It's like, thanks. Everyone just wants to talk to you about dogs. As soon as I tell them, oh, I'm a dog trainer, oh, they just want to know all about it. And I'm like, okay, if I have to, I can feel it in Caitlin, like sometimes like, here we go again, like, dogs.
Talk about something else.
Yeah, but like everyone just loves, I think people have such a connection to animals.
Yeah.
Whether they own a dog or not, they're fascinated by hearing stories, and a dog trainer is not like a super popular career, I'd say. So, you know, I'm kind of like a rock star to these people.
You should see what people... I should start writing them down. What people ask me when I say I'm a research scientist. Like, they'll ask me, I don't know, wild questions. And be like, I'm not that kind of research scientist.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah.
All right. We'll leave it there. Next week we'll talk about sin and the progression. But you said like before we comment too much on the program, we'll give it a week. But
yeah.
The week is definitely proven to be great. There's a few things I want further consultation on, and there's going to be more consults with my mystery man from England with the cool voice, who's easy to listen to.
You're narrowing it down for everyone.
Well, English people. There's a lot of people that are English.
Yeah.
But, so we gave it a week, and that's cool. Yeah, like, great. Still have full faith that we're going in the right direction.
Yeah.
But now it's gotten to a point where I want
need
further
some
clarification on this level of standard and upholding and stuff, because I'm like, oh, am I like we're talking millimeters out of the thing, and it's kind of like in my head, yes, that's not the standard, even though it's like we're now picking hairs, right? And it's like one side of me says, yeah, you know he's going to tell you that you have to like correct anything that's not the standard, but then on the other hand, you're like, but like it's just Just
It's
that little
minor.
bit. But it's like, that little bit off the standard, is that going to be something that could then, zoop, that little hairline crack turns into a bigger crack later down the track, you know? So it'll be interesting. We'll consult with him and...
Yeah, see what he says, because I wonder if that would be dog dependent. There's some dogs that are like, oh, and they kind of know what the standard is and they won't fly far from it. And then there's other dogs that, if they can push a boundary, they will.
Yeah.
So...
Yeah, so kind of blanket rule would be like, the only way to be sure is to just have the same rule for everyone. Not dog dependent, like straying is straying.
Straying is straying. Yeah, likely.
Probably. But we'll keep you updated. Thanks, guys.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks, Victoria Pope from Adelaide. I'm Daniel Tropiano signing out. Yeah, real quick. My wife got me these playing cards ages ago, and when I started doing some audio podcasting at the start of last year, because then we got too busy, I didn't take it off. Each guest that I had to read one of these and then sign it, and I was going to collect them, but that didn't eventuate. So now we're just going to finish off each episode with a random card.
Can I shuffle them, or are they supposed to?
You can shuffle them. That's some legit shuffling.
Well,
It's a 7 of hearts, and it says adult dogs have 42 permanent teeth. Nice.
I believe that is true.
Cool. I wouldn't have a clue. I'll take the card's word for it. Thanks, guys.
Thanks.